you ready to heal your mind, body, and soul from the inside out? Welcome to the Real Healing Institute show with Michelle Sinclair, divine healer and spiritual teacher, where spiritual transformation meets practical guidance to break free from limiting beliefs, subconscious pain, and energetic blocks. This is a powerful space for those seeking true healing and enlightenment. Michelle's teachings are rooted in her deep study of the Christ letters and the spiritual awakening that came from her unwavering dedication to divine truth. She helps individuals navigate their inner healing journey through subconscious soul healing techniques and spiritual teachings by uplifting the vibrational resonance of our thoughts, words, and actions that shape the very fabric of our lives. It is time to learn the profound understandings of universal love. The Real Healing Institute show starts now. Hello and welcome in today to the Real Healing Institute show. My name is Michelle Sinclair. Today we are talking about the frequency of healing. So what exactly does that mean? So when we talk about frequency, certain emotions, certain beliefs all hold a certain vibration, a certain frequency, and there is one specific for healing, and we're going to talk about that today. So I'm going to just let you in on it right now. It is love and thankfulness. Now, I'm going to explain this. So let's say that you have some ailment, some disease, something that has come up in your body, or even just a sore body part. The tendency is to not look at this as a spiritual sign, as the spirit trying to communicate with you in some way, but typically we leave that part out of it. And what we think is, oh, my body is attacking me. Oh, this terrible thing has happened. And it's happened because I stepped on this thing and twisted my ankle. Oh, because I did this thing and now I have this physical repercussion from it. When that is not why it is present at all. It is the spirit trying to communicate something with you. And when you can figure out what it is that the spirit is trying to tell you, then it's going to stop doing what it's been doing because you've got the message and it no longer needs to tell you something. So let me give a really quick example of this. So let's say that you've had throat issues, things along this line. Maybe you get a lot of sore throats. Maybe this is something that's, perpetual for you. Typically, a throat issue is that you're not speaking up. You're not saying something that you need to be saying. And the spirit is like, hey, man, I gave you a voice for a reason and I need you to use it. And as long as you continue to suppress yourself and as long as you continue to not say, you will continue to have these same type of issues come up and present themselves. So what happens? Let's say that this is the case for you and you get these sore throats all the time. So what are you thinking when it happens? Are you thinking, yay, I have another sore throat again? Probably not. You've probably not thought that one time in your life. You probably brought a vibration of the exact opposite to that of, oh, here we go again. This always happens to me. And you had some type of negative frequency or vibration that you were holding about it. And perhaps you even feel a victim of your body. Many people do. And so what happens when we believe this? Well, first of all, we're not getting the message. We're not getting the download that we're supposed to be getting that's telling us, hey, this is the reason why. Instead, we're allowing our mind to come in. We're allowing our mind to make up and assume why this could be happening. And it's not been beneficial to us. So I want to tell you guys a couple stories. And now this might seem really extreme, but you're going to get it. So this is why. This is a story of why we need to be thankful for everything, even that disease, even that ailment, even whatever it is that you happen to be going through. And you could be thinking like, are you kidding me? How could I possibly be thankful for this thing? But maybe you're going to see it different after I tell you this story. So this is a true story. And there was these women, and they were all in a concentration camp. And so as they're living in this cabin, of course, you could imagine, but don't imagine too much, how the conditions would have been. Not great, right? So they're sleeping on straw beds. They're all crammed in there. And on top of this, their cabin is just infested with lice. And so on top of the suffering, there's even more suffering that's occurring. However, In this particular cabin where these women were, they had managed to sneak in a Bible and they had managed to sneak in some vitamins. Now, every night, these ladies would sit around and they would hold a little Bible study and they would take this bottle of vitamins, and they would pass it around, dump it out, eat the vitamin, and they did this every single night. And so one of the evenings, one of the ladies who was running this, she said, she did her little prayer at the end and she said, thank you for this and thank you for that and thank you for the lice. Now, some of the ladies lost their minds on this woman. Like, are you kidding me? Why would we be thankful for the lice? This is torturesome. This is the most horrible thing that's happened. We're suffering, and it's just suffering upon suffering. And so this woman says, well, the Bible says to be thankful for everything. It doesn't specify, don't be thankful for that. It says be thankful for everything. She said, so I'm going to do that. So she did, to these other women's disdain. Anyway, so the end of the war eventually comes, and one of the women gets to talking with one of the guards that had been there in the camp, and she said, it's just so strange. We had snuck things into our cabin, and you never found them. And the guard said, well, none of us were going to go in there. It was the only cabin infested with lice. hmm So sometimes we take something and we believe that this is the most terrible, horrible thing that could ever possibly be, but yet it was that very thing that saved their lives. It was that very thing that at least gave them hope every night, that they could still be in there and have their Bible study and have somewhat of normalcy and have these vitamins that were taken away from them, that would have been taken away had somebody come into their camp. And so sometimes when we're going through the most terrible things, and I can 100% relate, we think, man, we think at that time, this is the worst thing, and we do not see a way out of it. And we truly believe that we are a victim of what is going on in our body, what is going on in our life, but we're not. Another story. So there was this man, and he was really bitter, resentful towards his family because he grew up very poor. So poor to the extent that one Christmas he received an encyclopedia, and we're not talking a whole set. He received one book from this encyclopedia set because that was all that his family could afford. And this man goes on for years and years and years being resentful towards his family because that this was all that he had received, and he felt like such a victim. He felt so hard done by. And it took years and years and years and years for him to realize that this too was actually a gift, because what he had received was the letter A. And so he would sit there because he didn't have a lot of things, because they didn't have a lot. And he would sit there and he would look through, and it was art. He would look at these artwork, and he was just so fascinated by it. And in turn, he grew up and became a wonderful artist. So sometimes we take these circumstances that are in our life and we label them with, I am a victim of this, or this is bad. And because we are then putting all of our energy into it. So let's say that you had some like cancer or something like this inside of your body. What are we doing? We're saying, no, this is bad. This is bad. This is bad. From that Dr. Emoto water experiment. And if you haven't seen it, go look it up. Dr. Emoto, just like it sounds. And the experiment that he did, that they took water and then they put intent into it. And it actually changed the molecular structure of the water. So that would be like me sitting here, because I would highly recommend doing this. Speak some blessings over yourself and speak it into your water or whatever you're drinking. And as you drink it, you are truly drinking the intent that you put inside of your water. What a wonderful thing this is. But if you think about your body, we're almost all water. And so whatever intent that we have in our mind, we're programming our entire body with our thoughts, with our beliefs. And so if they're low, and if we say that we're a victim, well, I can't even imagine what that would look like, the structure of that, if we spoke into water and said, I'm a victim, what is that going to look like? It will be distorted. It will not be beautiful. And then you house this and you contain it within your body. So the remedy for this is the opposite of what we're doing. So when something comes in, let's say that that throat issue comes in, rather than, oh, here it happens again, off to the doctor I go, sit with it and understand that this too is the spirit trying to communicate with you. And so what you could do is you could go in and you could ask your throat, hey, what am I not saying? Or what am I afraid of saying? Ask these really specific questions to yourself, and you yourself will be able to answer those questions. And through this inner work, because that's all that that is, take yourself in, close your eyes for a minute, and ask yourself some questions. This is doing the inner work. As you do this, you're going to become aware of things. Right. And maybe it's going to say, oh, well, you should have spoken up when this person, said this to you here before. Or it might tell you whatever it's going to tell you. But the thing is, when we get that information, what do we then do with it? Do we actually change, or do we allow our fear to run us and say, okay, well, no, I didn't say anything because I don't want this person to do whatever, and we make excuses for the things that the spirit is trying to tell us? No, you have to overcome this. You have to overcome this. So when I, several years ago, had been up at my cabin and had gone through this massive enlightenment. And it came from my study of the Christ letters. If you have not read those, please, please go read them. You will love them. But it was upon studying these that I understood and that I realized our free will is not what I had previously thought that it was. But what it is that every single second we have a choice to think a thought that will put us in hell, or to think a thought that will put us in heaven. And the difference between I'm a victim, this thing has happened to me, and this is a blessing and the spirit is trying to communicate something to me, are completely different vibrations, right? This one has hope woven in with it. This one has truth woven in with it. And this one is the devil, the darkness, saying, no, 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 abandon hope. Nope, that's not for you. And so we get a choice. And I don't know if you've ever examined your mind, but what percent of your day are you choosing this versus this? What percent of your day are you choosing, are you allowing? Because it is a choice, right? You could be locked up, you could be put somewhere, but you still have free will within your mind to think whatever it is that you want to think at any given moment, any given second. And nobody can take that away from you unless you allow it to happen. So when we have something that happens, the typical response, the human response is, oh no, this terrible thing is no good. But if we can look at this as everything is actually the spirit trying to communicate with us, then we can know, okay, well, I don't understand why that this has happened. I don't know why yet, but I know that it's happening for me. And because it's happening for me, maybe I need to look at this a little bit deeper. Maybe I need to start asking myself questions that I've never asked myself questions about before. I one time was working with a client because I love working with physical ailments, because we get in and we get to the root of the physical ailment. Why is it even present there in the first place? But the most fascinating time was when there wasn't a root cause. There wasn't a reason why it was there. But there really was a reason why it was there, but not the typical one. So typically, let's say that you have something going on inside of your body. You need to let something go, or you need to let something in, or you need to forgive this person, or you need to let go of anger or frustration or resentment. There's a reason, there's an actual emotional reason why that thing is there. And your body's trying to tell you, hey man, you got to deal with this thing, or I'm going to keep breaking down on you. However, the most wonderful time, and I got to say that this was wonderful. So now let's say that you believe in God or the divine or whatever you want to call it, the love of the universe. You believe in it, right? I know you do. That's why you're listening to me. However, you might think that you are an exception to that loving rule, right? Because we are told, oh, God can heal all things. There's nothing that the divine cannot do. But why is it that you are still suffering, even though you really believe that? If you really believe that there's nothing that the divine cannot do, why have they not done it yet? It is your lack of faith. And the reason why you have that lack of faith, there could be a variety of reasons, but typically it is because we don't believe that we're worthy of this amazing, wonderful love, or perhaps we have never experienced what that love is actually like, and therefore we don't understand that there is actually nothing that it cannot do. There's no exceptions to that. So it does not matter what is going on within you, within your body, within whatever you've got going on. There are no exceptions to what this love can do. And you are not exempt from it unless you believe that you are exempt from it. And so many of us do, right? When we're little, what happens are, our parents tell us, oh, that's not good. This isn't good. Oh, you shouldn't do that. And, they punish us for certain things, right? And so then eventually we grow up, well, they're not with us anymore. And so then we start punishing ourselves for certain things. We've taken over that role. And because we've done that, which the divine never asked us to do that, not for 1 second, but we do it because this is our human nature. And this is part of the programming that we are trying to deprogram as Christed beings. But what happens when we believe that, okay, well, I'm an exception to this rule. Why? Because I've done a bad thing, so I'm not worthy of that anymore. Or, oh, if people only knew, this or that, of course I'm not worthy of that love, and therefore I'm going to suffer in this way. But if you only knew that all of these human things that we think are, the nail in the coffin, that there's no coming back from this, that this was all part of your story. It was pre-written. It was meant to be this way so that you could heal those things, so that you could learn to love yourself anyways, and despite what you've done or what has happened to you. If you could only know that really what this is almost like a giant experiment of how much can you heal? And how deep can you truly go inside of yourself? If you could only understand how deep that love truly runs, then you wouldn't make excuses for why it doesn't work for you. And you would only make excuses for why, of course, it absolutely works for you. Now, I was told, this was several years ago, that a bird came to me. This raven came in a tree. There's a whole big long story around this, but I'm going to give you the short. It came into a tree and it said, "You need to heal this person." And I was like, "What? Well, how do I do this?" But I had had, this amazing enlightening experience come through, so I knew that I was supposed to do what I was being told to do. So it was like, okay, well, I don't know how to do this, but okay, I'll do it. And what came through was an excitement that I had never experienced on that level before, that it was already done. That all I needed to have the intent of was that, no, it's already done. And I started laughing with joy because I was so excited that, of course, this had already happened. I didn't need to do anything. It's never been me. It's only ever been the love that has ever done anything in this entire world. And so all it was being thankful that it was already done. But I am talking thankful to the level that there was zero doubt. There is zero, none, not an ounce of doubt that, of course, this person is going to be healed. And then they were. And it was immediate. And there is no lag time, right? Sometimes we think, oh, there's got to be this lag time between, this illness and this getting better, but that lag time is only showing you the amount of faith that you have of, okay, I believe, but I don't believe it's going to happen overnight. Well, then it's not. Maybe it'll take 3 days, maybe it'll take 2 weeks. It's based on your faith. Now, there's a misquote in the Bible, and it talks about, if you have a mustard seed of faith. This is the misquote. It was talking about, if you have a mustard seed of doubt, then you do not have faith. Because faith is not a size, right? I can't just have a tiny little mustard seed of faith and then have faith. No, I either have it or I do not have it. And if I have faith, but I have some doubt in that faith, I actually don't have faith. I have doubt. And so the goal is to eradicate all the doubt that we have around these miraculous healings, what the divine potential actually is. And when we look at that doubt, we can ask ourselves, why is it here? This is this is the work that needs to be done. Is asking ourselves, okay, well, I say that I believe in this love, and I say that I believe these things, and I do believe them, but I still have this feeling of, but I'm just not 100%. I'm 99%, but I'm not 100%. And you have to be 100%. Otherwise, you're not in. And whatever it is that you truly believe of, okay, I think that this will happen, but I'm also afraid that this might happen. Well, you're holding the vibration of that within you. The universe knows what you are, right? It knows who you're being right now at this very moment. It knows the vibration that you are, and it will present to you things in your life that are a match to that vibration. This is why when we have, unhealed trauma from childhood, let's say we were in an abusive relationship, well, we're carrying that within our energetic system. If we have not healed it, we're going to get into another relationship, probably very similar, maybe even exactly the same. And maybe we'll do it again, and we'll do it again, and we'll do it again until we heal that. Then it is no longer in our energy. It's no longer within us, and therefore we're going to attract different situations. Now we're not going to attract that same type of relationship. We're going to attract the new us, whatever it is that we are now. And we're going to get different things in our life. So I want to say, if you happened to be suffering through something physically, emotionally, whatever it happens to be, I say suffering. Let's go back to the lice story, right? They were suffering, but there was options, right? There was this group of ladies, and they were like, ain't cool, man. How could we be thankful for that? What a terrible thing. And so they were choosing to throw extra hell into their life, into their energy, into their mind, and believe that this is a horrible, terrible thing. Then there was the other group of people that were like, okay, well, no, we're supposed to be thankful for everything. So I don't know how or why, but I'm going to be thankful for this. And they were alleviated from that excess suffering because they did not allow themselves to go down to the depths of hell. And they allowed themselves to stay in heaven, knowing, I don't know why, but eventually I'll know why. So I took this principle and used this in my life, and have used this, and what a beneficial thing it is. And we're so human, so this can be so hard to do. It can be so hard to remember these things. But the sooner you do it, the sooner you alleviate the suffering and you go from hell to living in heaven, and the sooner you find out why. Because we always want to know why, right? This is why I love the work that I do with my clients, because we do regression. And so we're not just taking your issue or your problem or your this or that away. We're finding out, why is it there in the first place? Because we always want to know why. And when we can find out that why, then we can understand, oh, that's why. Okay, this makes sense. And then we can shift and we can change things within ourselves. But as long as we remain a victim to ourselves, to our own body, to our circumstances in life, we will be creating unnecessary suffering that we did not need to have. Another example. So I had split up from my ex. Terrible. It was the situation at the time when I very first found out what had happened was the most devastating thing I had ever been through in my life. And so I was suffering. And then from that came this enlightenment, because it was the option of either I'm going to end it, my life, or I'm going to heal it. And I have 4 kids. This was not an option to me. So it was, I'm going to heal this. So I'm going to go up, I'm going to forgive him for what he has done, and I'm not leaving until I have enlightenment come through. This was my goal when I went up on a spiritual journey of, hey, man, I'm leaving and I'm not coming back until this happens. I don't know how long it'll be. But it was from the most horrible circumstance in my entire life that the absolute most wonderful blessing ever came. And had that not happened, had that negative thing not happened, then this wonderful blessing also would not have come to me. And so rather than at that time, because I can see this and I can say this now, and I've had so many examples post that have just shown me, yes, this is the way. That through that suffering, if we refuse to look at it as suffering and we look at it as, no, I know that this really currently sucks right now, but I know that there's a reason why that this is happening, and that I know that it is happening for me. And I absolutely know that. And if you can take your mind out of the hell of the I'm a victim and this is a terrible thing to I know this is happening for me and I don't know why. And if you can be in this vibration, if you can be in this frequency and you can hold this, not only is your suffering going to be alleviated 100 times faster than it is when you're in this vibration, but you're also going to get the why a lot sooner. And on the other side of it, you're going to be like, oh, it'll take, weeks or months or days to understand the why behind something rather than suffering and suffering and suffering, finally healing and then understanding, oh, this is why it happened. And I know that there's many people who have suffered through cancer or who have suffered through this or through that or all kinds of things and have healed themselves and would agree that that was a turning point in their life. That had that not happened, these wonderful things on this other side wouldn't have happened. Perhaps that is what propelled them forward to do the job that they now do, where they can help other people in those circumstances. I went to the dentist the other day and I'm asking him, what's your favorite thing to do? Having this little small talk, and why do you do what you do? Well, he is an amazing dentist, but he does it, for the aesthetics of it. This is like what he really likes to do. Well, why? Because he was in an accident and he needed to have that done. And so he could have taken that accident that he was in and this thing that totally messed him up and that was not good and suffered extra and thought, what a horrid, horrible thing that this could be and blah, 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 and made himself suffer while he was in there, not realizing that years later, this would be the thing that completely changed him, that allowed him to step into something that he's not only passionate about, but that he came here and was meant to do on this planet. So, if you are suffering in some way, I love you. I have so much compassion for you, so much, because I understand. I have been there. I have done that. I have gone through this. And so I can tell you with certainty that there is a better way and that whatever it is, I know. We don't know why now, but it is actually happening for you. And even though you could think, how could this possibly be happening? I couldn't understand it at the time either. I'm sure all of these people who have gone through those things did not understand it at the time either. But you will alleviate so much suffering when you can just choose to know, I'm just going to have a heavenly thought about that instead of a hellish one, because this is dragging me down and it's not helping me, the world, the planet, nobody, nothing. And this one is truly helping and can create a massive change, not only within myself, but within my world. So this is what I have for you guys here today. Thank you so much. I have a childhood wound quiz on my website. You can go there. It is therealhealinginstitute.com. This is going to show you if there is healing within you that still needs some work, and it's also going to provide you the solution. I love you guys so much. Thank you guys for your loyalty, for tuning in. You guys are absolutely wonderful, and I will see you guys in the next show. Take care.
Thank you for joining the Real Healing Institute show with me, Michelle Sinclair. Tune in every second and fourth Wednesday at 9:30 a.m. Pacific on TransformationTalkRadio.com for more empowering ways to spread love and set yourself free. Together, we'll elevate the consciousness of the planet. Stay connected. Follow me on social media, subscribe to the podcast, and explore the Mental Cleanse series on YouTube. Ready to go deeper? Book a session with Michelle at therealhealinginstitute.com. Until next time, keep healing, keep growing, and remember, love is the only way.